Good day, everybody. The two-day training is about ISO IEC 19011 2018 standard. That is the standard with respect to uh, auditing management principles, and this standard is about guideline for performing the audit. And I have divided this ISO 19011 2018 training into three modules. And the module one is about basically uh, initial awareness about what is this audit, what is the auditor, and different terminology, who is auditee, and what are the auditor principles, what are the auditor's attributes, and then we will discuss about how to plan the audit, how to perform the audit, and then in the last module, we will discuss about how to basically perform the audit and close and follow up the audit. These are the three modules. So in this week, we are going to conduct this module one. That is the first part of this training, ISO 19011 2018 standard. That is about auditors standard, or we call it the guideline for management system audit. When I am saying the management system audit, it means audit with respect to quality management system ISO 9001, audit with respect to food safety management system, or the audit with respect to environmental management system, audit with respect to lab quality management system. All these systems are basically management system. But the principle that we will follow to perform the management system audit, that would basically be based on this ISO 19011 2018 standard. As a brief too, that this is the international standard ISO 19011. This is the latest variant of this standard, that is 2018. Before that, there was 2011 standard, but now that has been replaced with this latest variant. And I would request all of you and would suggest all of you to please get the official copy of this ISO 19011 standard, either from the ISO international website, or you can get this copy by contacted with your local standard body. In every country, there are the standard bodies who are the member of this international organization of standard body. In Sierra Leone, there is Sierra Leone Standard Bureau. And I have basically, as a brief, to converted the entire training for this ISO 19011 into three modules, module 1, module 2, and module 3. And today we are going to discuss this module 1. As you know, this guideline for the auditing management system, this is basically the guideline based on the same cycle, that is PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, act cycle, and it starts with the defining the PROM objective, then it goes into completing the audits needed, and then a review of the audit, and closing the audit. But how to do these things? There are many subclasses into it, and we have to discuss, and we have to understand this entire system. Before I move toward this 19011 standard, uh, just I am introducing myself. My name is Dr. Shaukat Malik. I am the Chief Technical Advisor for the West Africa Competitiveness project for Sierra Leone, and this project is basically have the three main areas. One is about quality infrastructure services development in the country. The next area is about value chain development, that is with respect to palm oil, and cassava and cocoa. And the third area is about enabling business environment. I think I have discussed this project in detail into the module 1 of ISO 9001 training. Now, as I briefed you that this ISO 190 alignment training has basically the basically uh, uh, you can say the four major classes, and actually it starts from class number 4. We discussed in ISO 9001 that ISO 9001 has the 10 classes, but the actual implementation class starts from the class number 4. So in the same way, this ISO IC 19011, or we can say 19011 2018, that is auditing standard. This is this has basically 7 major classes, and the class number 4 is basically actually implementing class, and it starts from class number 4 as ISO 9001 starts from the class number 4. And the class number 4 is about principles of auditing, and these are the major principles how to do the audit, and what kind of basically principles required when you are performing the audit. It should be fair presentation, it should be integrity, it should be basically with respect to confidentiality, because a lot of information you are getting when you are doing the audit, you are involved into the enterprise secret information as well, and some of the information can go to the competitors. That is why before the audit, you have to sign the non-disclosure agreement with the auditing company. But we will discuss in detail about this clause number 4, that is principles of the auditing. Then there is a clause number 5, that is with respect to managing an audit prompt. Clause number 6 is conducting an audit, and the clause number 7 is the competence and evaluation of the auditors. How to basically evaluate and witness the auditor, and who is auditor. Auditor does not mean that if you have passed the ISO 9001 exam and you have passed the examination of this ISO 19011, it still you are not auditor unless and until you may practically witness into the enterprises how to do the audit, and how you are interacting with the client, and how you are interacting with the employee of the company, how you are interacting with your peers, how you are interacting with your colleagues, how you are reporting writing the reports, how you are presenting the reports. All these things are basically the witness of audit. So after the witness, you become the competent auditor. So all these steps we will discuss one by one. But basically, the good thing is that this class number 5 and this class number 6, these are two very important class. Okay, and if you see from this upper portion, this is the class number 5, and in the class number 5, you can see this. These are the basically class number 5. This is class number 5. Okay, it starts with the basically 5.2. These are the subclasses of class number 5, but they follow the principles of plan, do, check, act. If you see here, all the classes of class number 5 are here. Below are the class number 6. Are the class number 6 in this line? These are the planning classes, and then these are the basically do classes, and these are the check classes, and these are the basically act classes. So class number 5 and class number 6, those are basically two major classes about planning, execution, performing, and closing the audit. These are the two major classes, but they follow the principles of PDCA, that is Plan, Do, Check, Act. And in ISO 9001 training, we have discussed this PDCA cycle in detail. Now, this is the process flow of this ISO 19011 2018 standard. It starts with the major class, class number 5, establishing the audit prom, then determining the audit and evaluating the audit. And then you are moving, implementing the audit prom, monitoring the audit prom, and reviewing the audit plan. And here, then, when you are implementing the audit prom, you will move to initial the audit, then you will prepare the audit, then you will conduct the audit. I mean, this class number 5 and class number 6, both are interlinked with together. And but in the training, when we are moving towards the training of this ISO 19011, you will more understand that what is mean by these steps and what is mean by these classes and the subclasses. So the guideline, that is ISO 19011, we are going to start it with managing an audit prom. And in managing an audit prom, first of all, it start with the quality concept and quality principles. If you are going to become the ISO 9001 auditor, what is the ISO 9001 auditor? It means ISO 9001 is the basically quality management system standard. And for quality management system standard auditor, you must know the concept of and detail of ISO 9001 2015 standard. And in the previous 4 modules, you have got the training about this ISO 9001 2015 standard. You, first of all, in the module 1 of ISO 9001 training, you got the quality concept and principle, and then after that, we have discussed ISO 9001 2015 standard into 4 modules, and we have covered the 10 classes. So this will provide you the basically foundation. If you do not know the relevant standard, either you know the 19011, that is the auditing principles and auditing techniques, you will not be able to perform the audit of that standard, and you would not be eligible to perform the audit of that standard because you do not know that standard. That is why first you have to know that standard, and second, you should know about ISO 19011, that is auditing technique. If you know this, that you know that how to plan the audit, how to execute the audit, how to basically report the audit and write the audit report, write the non-conformance report, and then how to check the corrective actions and how to take the follow-up and how to close this audit. So all these are the steps basically that are in line with ISO 19011. But before that, you must know the relevant standard, and that is quality management system, ISO 9001 2015 standard. Now in this ISO 19011 2018, when we are discussing about audit, we must know that what is mean by audit. Audit should be basically systematic, audit should be independent, and audit should be documented. What it means? This is the definition. These are the key basically areas of the audit, that audit should be systematic. You have to follow some system. I mean, audit is not haphazard. You have to plan the audit. You have to inform to the client. You have to prepare the checklist. You have to then record your findings. I mean, it should be documented, and it should be independent. Mean that you are not biased with the auditee. Our auditee should not be biased with you. I mean, independent of any benefit or any basically influence from auditee or the auditor side. It should be independent for that. I mean, for example, if you have worked before doing the audit, last year you were the employee of that auditing company, it means you have some friendship, you have some basically relationship with those employees to whom you are going to audit. then in this case, it would not be an independent audit. Okay, at least 2 years are required that you have to declare yourself that from the last 2 years you are not basically involved into that company to whom you are going to audit. That is why audit should be systematic, audit should be independent, and audit should be documented. For obtaining the evidence and evaluating it objectively, you have to determine the audit criteria and then at what extent, mean the boundaries of that audit. What is the audit criteria in case of ISO 9001 auditing? You are going to, as an ISO 9001 auditor, your audit criteria is ISO 9001. And if you are going to audit the environmental standard, then your criteria, audit criteria would be ISO 14001. That is the audit criteria. What is audit? Definitely audit follows the basically process approach. For example, if this is a audit, you are going to audit, you will basically do the audit, you will evaluate the company, the enterprises, and you will evaluate that enterprises and you will compare that enterprises with certain criteria. For example, if you are going to do the audit with respect to ISO 9001 quality management system, you will compare the performance of this company with respect to quality management system. That would be your criteria. You will compare it. If they will fulfilling all the relevant clauses of ISO 9001, then it means they are conforming this standard. Okay, if they are not fulfilling it, then it is not okay. And the areas, those are gaps, those are not being fulfilled into that company, those will be the non-conformance, and you will write on the audit report and you will present it to the auditee. Okay, along the line, definitely you have to note that what are the audit evidence, what are the basically areas, those are basically not performing as per the audit criteria, that is ISO 9001. So all this is a cycle of the audit, and basically the input is the auditor and the output is the audit report, and in between that you have to compare your findings with the audit criteria. I briefed you that audit criteria is basically the ISO 9001. In case of ISO 9001, the ISO 9001 policies, procedures, requirement, QPs, quality system procedures, standard operating procedure, work instructions, all these things with respect to ISO 9001 are the audit criteria. And then you have to compare your findings with respect to that criteria. But how you can compare it, you must have some evidences when you are doing the audit. And how to collect the evidence and how to record those evidences, we will discuss in the coming slides. Audit criteria, type of the audit. For example, if you are ISO 9001 external auditors, basically there are internal auditors and there are external auditors. Who are the external auditors? The audit done by the certification bodies, that is external auditor. For example, if uh, you are implementing ISO 9001 into your company and audit is being performed by SGS, that is certification body, or by BVQI, or by Intertek, any certification body, their auditors would be external auditors and you will be auditing. And in case of SLSB, for example, SLSB is going to basically establish Now the indigenous very good management system certification body, that is SLSB management system certification body, and the auditors, when they will go to perform the audit into the enterprises with respect to ISO 9001, then the SLSB auditors would be basically external auditors, and they will be the third party auditors. Okay. And for this external auditor of ISO 9001, you must know about ISO 9001. Okay. And then you have to witness yourself, some experienced auditor will witness yourself uh, in performing the audit, and he will guide you how to do the audit step by step. And when you will be perfect, he will declare you that now you are the basically external auditor. But in case of ISO 9001, you must know the ISO 9001 plus ISO 19011 plus the witness. So this will basically give these three steps will declare you that you are the ISO 9001 external auditor. What about ISO 17021 internal auditors? You must know the relevant standard ISO 17021, plus you must know again 19011. As I briefed you that in any case, either you are external auditor or you are internal auditor, you must know the relevant standard plus ISO 19011 2018. Now, for example, SLSB is basically developing its own management system certification body, and to do the audit of this management system certification body, SLSB need internal auditors, not the external auditors. Yes, external auditor would be the high level people from the certification body, and that will be the accreditation body. But before that, they have to perform the internal audit. And to do the internal audit, they must have some qualified staff. Those are trained on ISO 17021 plus train on ISO 19011 plus witness how to do the audit. Okay. Again, ISO 17025 internal auditor, you must know the relevant standard, that is ISO 17025 plus 19011. Now we are implementing, for example, ISO 17025 into SLSB labs. It means at the end, when the implementation would be complete, they have to do the audit by themselves before the accreditation body come and they do the external audit. So it means they must know, the internal auditor must know ISO 17025 plus ISO 19011 plus witness. ISO 22001 in future, now you are becoming ISO 9001 external auditor. In future, if you have to become ISO 22000 external auditor, that is the basically food safety management system standard. So it means you must know ISO 22000 plus you must know ISO 19011. Now you have seen into all these management system standards, 19011 is a common standard. The auditing technique would remain same, but you have to understand the relevant standard for which you have to become internal or external auditor. Now, in the audit evidence, 19011, the terminology in the previous slides, we have discussed about audit evidence. What is audit evidence? The statement of the fact. For example, Management review records, competence and training records. What is the class of the competence and training into ISO 9001? You know the relevant class. And if you are basically doing the audit into some companies where ISO 9001 has been implemented, and you are doing the audit and you have found that competence and training is not there, records are not there, you can write that yes, as per this class, competence and training records are required, but these are not available into the company procedures. That is why this is the evidence that company is not fulfilling this area, and this is non-conforming, and this is the basically audit evidence or the audit record with respect to non-conforming. Audit scope, definitely I briefed you the boundaries of an audit. For example, if you are going to do the audit with respect to ISO 9001, then the boundaries are basically the implementation with respect to ISO 9001. Or maybe you are going into an X company, and X company have the two branches, one in Freetown and other in McKinney, but they have applied for a branch that is in Freetown. So the audit boundary would be with respect to Freetown branch, and you will do the audit of that company for Freetown. And when you will issue the certificate, you will issue the certificate. Maybe the company name would be same for Freetown and for McKinney branch. Then in that case, you have to mention that this certificate is for X company Freetown branch, so that there should be no confusion into it. And extent mean definitely extent is the basically all the classes of the ISO 9001, that is extent. Okay, in some cases some of the classes basically there is some design class, sometimes people do not fulfill it, and this is debatable, then you can exclude it or not, but it is another thing. But you have to mention the location, you have to mention the organization unit, and you have to mention all these things. Audit findings, as I briefed you, that audit finding a result of your evaluation against the criteria. That is the audit finding. And in the coming slide, we will discuss that how to write the non-conformance reports and how to write these audit findings with respect to criteria. Audit conclusion, normally audit conclusion is in the shape of audit report, and it is an outcome of an audit provided by the audit team or by the single person who is going for audit. At the end, for example, it was a 2-day audit for X company, and there were two people, two auditors were doing the audit. So jointly they will write a report on the end of their second day, and that audit report uh, would be basically with audit findings. That will give you conclusion that where your company is now with respect to ISO 9001 or with respect to specific standards. Who is auditee, who is auditor? Person, department, organization being audited is auditee, and definitely the person with the competence to perform an audit and to conduct an audit, that is auditor. Sometime with the auditor, we send the technical experts. So as per ISO 19011, this provision is available. For example, you are very good in auditing technique, but you are area of expertise is not the textile, and you are going to audit a textile factory, but basically your qualification and your experience is with respect to uh, chemical industry or with respect to the fruit manufacturing industry. So you do not know the technical area of the textile. That is why, but you know how to do the audit. So when you are doing the audit planning, you are basically certification manager or head of the certification body. He would plan an audit and he would develop a team in a way that some of the technical experts of those areas should be with the lead editor and with the auditing team, so that wherever lead editor need the technical expertise and technical opinion, that he may get. So audit is basically with respect to type. Audit has three types: first party audit, second party audit, third party audit. First party audit is basically audit you are doing by yourself into your company, and as I briefed you, it is internal audit. If you are doing the audit by yourself into your laboratory or into your certification body or into your company, then it is internal audit, and this is called first party audit. What is the second party audit? Is basically the audit done by the customer or the supplier. For example, Walmart has a very good system of getting manufactured of their product from outside, from different companies of the world. But they have to do the audit before getting that product. So they depute some of the auditors from the world to go there, and this is our standard, and do the audit of our t-shirts or our products with respect to this standard, and send us the report before the company may deliver our uh, products to our destination. So audit on behalf of supplier or audit on behalf of customer is second party audit. Now the second party auditor will not give any certification to that company, but the second party auditor would submit the report to his client who has sent him or her to this company. That is second party audit. Yes, the third party audit is the certification audit. Okay, for example, as an SLSB management system certification body, you are a certification body and you are basically sending some of your auditor to do a audit of one enterprise who has applied to you for ISO 9001 certification, and your editor is going there and he will do, and it will be definitely independent audit. Okay, when he will do the audit, he will send the report to you, and if the report is good and you approved it, then you will provide the ISO 9001 certificate to that company. And this is called third party audit, is called basically certification audit, because at the end, either the auditee would get the certificate or will get the audit report that these are the problem and you have to remove the problem. And at that time, we cannot certify you. Purpose of the audit is definitely very clear: to determine the effectiveness of the management system. I'm using the word management system. So ISO 9001 is the quality management system. ISO 22000 is basically food safety management system. ISO 14 is environmental management system. ISO 17025 is laboratory quality management system. So What is the purpose of the audit? Is to determine the effectiveness of the relevant management system, to provide the opportunity for improvement. Definitely, when auditor will do the audit, he will find some areas of improvement. He would find some opportunities for improvement. He would find some non-conformance, and based on the removing of those non-conformance, you will take corrective action, you will take preventive action, and that is why you will improve your system. To meet the requirement for the certification, definitely it is one of the purpose of the audit to check that you are meeting the requirement to certify you on ISO 9001 or to certify you are on ISO 22001. And this is linked with this first point to determine the effectiveness of the management system to meet the requirement of the certification. These points are interlinked with each other. Now, the audit techniques are normally forward trace or backward trace. For example, in the companies, normally if you see the companies receive the raw material into their receiving goods, and then they inspect that raw material, and then in the CPOC of ISO 9001 standard module 1, we have discussed the terminology CPOC, supplier, input, process, output, customer. So this is the basically normally the factories or enterprises receive the goods, they inspect the goods, they process the goods, then they basically prepare their final products and they send to their stores, and from stores they send to the customer. So as an audit technique, you can start the audit from receiving of goods, and then you can go up to the customer. So it means you will do the audit for this entire process. Or what is the backward trace? You can start from the customer and you can go back up to the receiving ends. For example, this is a basically uh, juice factory, and you can from one of the customer you can check that this is a juice bottle. Then from where you can trace in which store this juice bottles were stored and then dispatched, and from that store you can check that when this juice bottle was manufactured and on which machine it was manufactured, and who was at that time the supervisor, and the supervisor was trained or not, and what kind of measures he was checking at that time, and if this juice bottle has been manufactured, uh, from where the juice concentrate came, from where the raw water came, from where this bottle came, and if they came that what was the quality of these three products. So this is the backward trace. Forward trace, you may check that these are the raw materials, and now these have been gone onto the manufacturing line, and on the manufacturing line, this product has been basically manufactured and then gone into store, and from that it has gone to the client, to the customer. So you have to check all the relevant clauses applicable on this trace. Either you are going for forward trace or you are going for backward trace. You have to check the clause number 4, you have to check the clause number 5 on each step, and you will see that most of the clauses would be applicable on each step, but some of the clauses would not be applicable. But where the clauses would be applicable, you have to check the evidence that the steps have been taken care or not. So this is forward trace and this is backward trace. Uh, Principles of the auditing. This is very, very important. And if you see the principles of the auditing is the basically clause number 4 of this ISO 19011 2018 standard, and the 7 principles have been discussed that as an auditor, when you are doing the auditing, you have to follow the integrity of basically these are the principles with respect to auditing. Your auditing should be integrity. It should be trustworthy. It should be confidential. It should be ethically. It should be done with the honesty and with the responsibility. And you would be basically doing the integrity, and you would be following the integrity if you are competent to do the audit. If you are not competent to do the audit, maybe you are not trained on ISO 9001, or you are not trained on 19011, or you have not involved the relevant technical expert with you, it means you are compromising on the integrity of the audit. Fair presentation mean whatsoever you have recorded, you have to present it not with multiplied way, or not with the basically reducing way. Whatsoever you have basically found into your audit techniques, and when you are doing the audit, your audit findings, your audit conclusion, your audit report should reflect truthfully and accurately the audit activities. Significant obstacles encountered during your process of audit, you must mention. Your opinion should not be biased, and it should give you clear understanding that what are you writing and what is the basically meaning and the reflection of these words. So you have to present it in a fair way and in an accurate way. Due professional care, the application of the diligence and the judgment and auditing, you have to take care that you are not judging some of the evidence; those are not available. But then you have to judge it professionally. You may not judge it in a way that it should create biasness. Rather, auditor should exercise the due care in accordance with the importance of the task they perform and the confidence placed in them by an audit client and other interested parties. An important factor in carrying out their work with due professional care is having the ability to make the reasonable judgment in all the audit situations. That is basically the due professional care. The fourth and fifth, basically, principles of the auditing is confidential and independence. I briefed you about confidentiality and independence before, that when you are going to audit, a lot of information you can access into the client premises to whom you are auditing. So those basically informations or those secrets should be treated as the business secrets of that company, and those should be taken care properly. Independence is definitely that you have to basically do the audit without any influence from the auditee or the auditor side. You have to do it in an independent way. Evidence based, that definitely you may not judge the customer or the client to whom you are doing the audit based on your judgment, but you have to uh, basically collect the evidence. For example, if you are doing the audit and one of the thermometer of that company is not calibrated, and as per ISO 9001, the calibration of all the equipment is required, but rest of the thermometers were calibrated. So you can write that one of the thermometer number, this was not calibrated. However, all the other remaining 10 thermometers were calibrated, and the procedure of the calibration was also there, and the people were knowing these procedures, it means it will give the reflection to the head of the certification body that this is a mistake. On the other side, if you write that thermometers were not calibrated, it would give the reflection that there was no calibration system into the company. So these both statements are different. A risk-based approach, this now risk-based thinking and the risk-based approach, you all know about it. The risk-based approach should be substantively influence the planning, conducting and reporting the audits in order to ensure that audits are focused on matters that are significant for the audit of the clients and for achieving the audit from entire objectives. So you have to consider the risk. Definitely one of the risk can be when you are doing the audit, maybe the client say that at this time I do not have this procedure available, rather this procedure is into my other branch and I have sent the people to collect it, and you can see that how much time is wasting and how you have to manage it. So this is these are the 7 principles, and you have to basically follow these 7 principles while you are doing the audit. Auditor skills and knowledge, definitely, as I briefed you, the relevant standard. If you are ISO 9001 auditor, you must know about ISO 9001 in detail. Plus, you must know the guideline of this ISO 19011. Plus, as I briefed you, you must know how to do the audit. As I briefed you, either you qualify for ISO 9001 and you qualify for ISO 19011. Still, you have to be witness and you have to be guided how to do the audit, how to plan the audit, okay, and how to collect the evidence, how to write the evidence, how to write the report, and overall, the effective communication plays a vital role, because how to ask the question, how to get the information from the client, and sometimes the client distract you to be focused on the audit. They involve you into some other practices, or they involve you by replying the misleading answers. So at that time, the communication plays a vital role. In the coming slides or into the coming modules, you will learn in detail about effective communication. You will learn about in detail how to plan the audit, how to write the report, and how to collect the evidences, and how to basically ask the different questions, and how to get the answers, and how to understand the communication in terms of auditing in an effective way. But these are the basically auditor skills and knowledge. Uh, this is normal, the qualification criteria to become an auditor, that how much education is required, work experience, auditor training, and audit experience, and a role and responsibilities. When you are doing the audit, what is the role of auditee? What is these are the basically players. When you are doing the audit, there would be some auditee. Auditee, as I briefed you, the client to whom you are going to audit, his factory or his organization, those are auditee. The applicant is the auditee. Then there will be some auditors. And if there are 2 or 3 auditors, out of 2 or 3 auditors, there would be 1 lead auditor. And then if the organization is a highly technical organization, for example, textile or some automobile manufacturing company, where some technical experts are required, then these are the subject matter. I mean, these are the area expert of that technical area. Then client, the auditee and client can be different. For example, as you know, we have paid the fee of one of the company that is going to be certified for ISO 9001. So we will be the client, but you will not do the audit of UNIDO, you will do the audit of the auditee of that company to whom you have to certify. So in that case, auditee and the client are different. So what are the roles and responsibilities of the auditor? Auditor is responsible definitely uh, for the audit planning with the help of the lead auditor. As the lead auditor is there, auditor will help the lead auditor to plan the audit. Definitely within the scope, he has to execute the audit. He has to basically, auditor has to ask the question with respect to the relevant standard, and then he has to write his own report, and he has to submit the report to the lead editor. He has to discuss his findings with the lead editor. Then lead editor will compile it, and then follow up and verification for the corrective actions. When the report has been sent to the client, then client has to take the corrective action, and client has to send, I mean auditee has to send those corrective actions to the relevant auditor or to the certification body, and then they have to collect it, and then they have to check that either these are the right corrective actions or not, and then they have to take the follow-up. So all these steps are the basically responsibilities of the auditor as per ISO 19011. Lead auditor, as I briefed you, if there are 2 or 3 auditors are going to audit one enterprise or one organization, then out of these 2 or 3 or 4, sometime even 10 auditors goes together. So out of these 10, definitely one would be the lead of that time, leader of that team, and he will be the lead auditor at the head of the audit team. He basically plan the audit overall by involving the different auditors, getting the feedback from the auditors. Then he has to assign the workload to the auditors, and he has to assign the areas to the auditors. He has to basically decide about how the team should be basically comprised with respect to different areas of expertise, either the technical expert is required or not. If it is required, in which areas technical experts are required. Either 2 or 3 auditors are required to check the workload by keeping in mind the size of that organization. He has to decide basically either he needs 2 or 3 auditors for 2 days, for 3 days, or for 4 days. Maybe the technical expert he needs for in first 2 days, or maybe the entire 4 days. Maybe he needs the technical experts, different type of technical experts. But all this planning is with respect to the lead editor, but in line with the head of the certification. So that is basically the lead editor responsibilities and roles. Auditor attributes. Before we discuss uh, the due professional care and fair presentation and all these things we have discussed, and those were the principles of auditing. Now we are discussing about auditor attributes. Normally, auditor must have these kind of attributes into it, and if he has some lackness in some of the attributes, it is the responsibility at the time of the witness of the audit that the witness auditor basically explain to that auditor, and then he has to create these kind of attributes into it. First of all, auditor should be open-minded, willing to accept the alternate ideas. Maybe auditor has some of the background knowledge about one thing, that this thing better can be done into the computer system, or this calculation can be done into Excel, but this organization is doing this manually. So auditor must accept the alternate ideas. Objective is not to do it through computer or Excel or manual. Objective is to do this thing in a right way. And if the end product is coming same, either doing it with the computer or with the manual, then auditor must accept that, okay, it is fine. This is called alternative ideas. But by not compromising on the correctness of the result, then auditor must be diplomatic, skillful, how sometimes the difficult people you have to do during the audit, some of the arrogant people. So you must have diplomatic, tactful, observant, receptive, polite, tenacious. You have to take decisive. You can reach on the decisions immediately with two or three observations, because you are there to do the audit for a limited time. That is why you must have some good decision power, but in a logical way. Self-reliant, he can act as an independent, even sometimes he is there as a single editor, so he must be self-reliant that he can handle this entire audit. Okay, he must be ethical. Ethical is the auditing principle as well, and ethical is the auditor attribute as well. Able to act responsibility and ethically, that is the acting with the fortitude, and then open to improvement, culturally sensitive, some of the areas or some of the organizations, those are culturally or religiously sensitive areas or the organization. So we must take care about all these things. And before time, we should get the information from the client that what is the situation, and then you have to go accordingly. You have to prepare yourself accordingly so that there should be no problem. Objective is that this diplomatic. If you are a good diplomatic, then you can collect the information in a good way, and you can handle all the situations in a good way. But all these basically attributes are the basically desired personal behavior of the auditor. Definitely, all sometimes we cannot found all these things into one of the auditor, but definitely as a human being, we should be basically open-minded, and we should be basically open to get the feedback, and we have to improve ourselves with the passage of time if some of the attributes are not there. Who is then audited? Those were the attributes with respect to auditor. Now, who is the auditee? Auditee is a person to whom you are going to audit his organization. And auditee should show the professional and positive attitude, must give the all the data whatsoever the auditor is asking to the auditor, provide all the relevant material and resources to the audit team, a response to the audit team in a positive way, and if audit team finds some of the non-conformance, then he has to take the corrective actions and submit to the audit team accordingly. But sometimes we can face the difficult situations, and some of the audits are very difficult, but then you have to handle. it carefully. That is why in the previous slides we have discussed the desired behaviors of the auditors. If you have desired behaviors, you can handle the situation. But ultimately, the goal is that audit should be carried out amicably. But in some cases, if I mean, this is practical thing, maybe some of the auditors are so arrogant as an auditor, you cannot continue the audit, then you have the authority. You may discuss with your lead editor, and lead editor discuss with the head of the certification body and the team, and you can stop the audit, and you can basically close the audit without continuing it up to the desired time. And in that case, definitely RDT and his company would suffer, because then they will not, you have not reached up to conclusion, and then they will suffer, and they will not get any decision with respect to audit, and it means audit has been held. Thank you very much. We discussed about this module one of this auditing guideline and auditing principles and auditing techniques. So as I briefed you that ISO 19011 is the auditing technique standard, and I have divided this training into 3 modules. So today we have discussed about the module 1, and in coming week we will discuss about module 2. I would request all of you to please listen this module 1 carefully, prepare your questions, so that in coming week when we may discuss it in detail, you must have some questions, and you can ask those questions, and you can get the complete understanding. Meanwhile, I would request all of you that this is the Twitter account. This is my Twitter account, Dr. Shaukat Malik. This is SLCOMPET is the Twitter account of our project, that is West Africa competitiveness project with respect to Sierra Leone, and this is Facebook page, Sierra Leone competitiveness enhancement, and this is an EU funded project, and as UNIDO we are implementing this project, and along with the ITC as our partner in implementing this project. I would request all of you to please keep on visiting these Twitters and this Facebook page. You will find many relevant information. And meanwhile, please be prepared to discuss this in detail uh, in the coming week, when we would be together online, face to face. Then you can ask many questions. Thank you very much.